Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. Since we've all probably had a few minutes to process the Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor news, I thought it was time to talk about the top 5 reasons why this is going to be a good thing, and kind of do a breakdown of what it might mean for the story. So many big things going down this week. First Peter Capaldi gets a new suit, now Mark Zuckerberg is Lex Luthor. There's even a bunch of Super Bowl trailers coming on Sunday. I'm actually going to be doing videos for most of those, so be sure to subscribe to get all that stuff too. So much comic book stuff happening right now. Whether you love or hate the idea, Jesse Eisenberg is not going to be a main character in this, so don't freak out too soon. The real big players are going to be Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. They'll be the main characters. They're going to be each other's villains in the movie. Lex Luthor is just going to be a background player. So let's get going. Here's the top 5 reasons why he's actually a good choice for the character. Number 5, he's actually the right age based on DC Comics canon. Lex Luthor and Superman are almost the same age in the current version of the comic book story. Jesse Eisenberg and Henry Cavill were both born in the same year. Obviously all those push-ups make Henry Cavill look just a little bit older though. Number 4, this will be a background role only. Lex Luthor is not going to be the main villain in this movie. The main villain, if you consider it a Superman movie, is going to be Batman. And if you consider it a Batman movie, Superman is going to be the main villain. And for minor characters, unconventional casting choices lead to much more interesting stories. Just look at Kat Dennings in Thor: The Dark World. She was a very minor character, but she was one of the most, non-Loki enjoyable parts of that movie. I mean, even Wonder Woman is a minor character in this film. It's really Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck that are going to take the lead. They're basically going to eat most of the screen time. Number 3, he works really well in an ensemble cast. The Social Network, which, he's most known for, was largely an ensemble film the way it was shot. Andrew Garfield was just as big a star, if not bigger now. Then later, Eisenberg was actually able to hold his own on screen against a post-Avengers Mark Ruffalo. Yes, Ben Affleck is a much bigger A-lister than anyone he's starred with before, but this all works in the character's favor. Like I said, Lex Luthor is just supposed to be a shadow player in this movie, although he will probably get something of an origin story. Number 2, he has the dramatic background to play a much darker version of the character than we've seen before. Gene Hackman and Kevin Spacey were both amazing actors in the role, but their versions were much more cartoony. Zack Snyder has given Superman a much more serious tone, which demands a much darker villain. And when I say dark, I mean dark without going into crazy Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider territory. Bonus shout out for the time that Nicolas Cage almost became Superman. And my number 1 reason why he's a good choice for Lex Luthor. Mark Zuckerberg is the modern Lex Luthor. In all the previous Superman stories, Lex Luthor was an industrialist, but we're living in the information age. And Lex Luthor is supposed to be this brilliant, if not misguided billionaire with a really cold personality, which sounds just like Mark Zuckerberg. Not to imply that Mark Zuckerberg is evil, this is obviously a comic book villain we're talking about. Let me know whether or not you come down on the, positive or negative side of Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I'm actually really interested to see what he's going to look like in the movie. Hopefully they'll release some images of the characters soon. Obviously we know what Henry Cavill's probably going to look like. That Superman suit probably won't change a lot, but we haven't seen any pictures of Ben Affleck yet, and obviously we haven't seen Wonder Woman yet either. Here's a breakdown of what the casting might mean for the story of the movie, as well as the origins of the Lex Luthor character and the origins of his relationship with the Superman character. Let's start with the Lex Luthor origin. He'll be a tech leader, so his rise to power will be just like Mark Zuckerberg's. He'll have invented some tech and then have a shady reputation for cutting out business partners and rivals along the way until he eventually becomes this big billionaire. Now on to his relationship with Superman. Although they're roughly the same age, I don't think that Lex Luthor and Superman will have the same shared past that they did during Smallville or previous versions of the comic book. Don't be surprised if Clark and Lois end up doing a profile on Luthor for the planet, so Superman will probably meet Luthor for the first time as Clark Kent, not as Superman. I predict much the opposite for his first meeting with Batman. I think that they'll be meeting for the first time as superheroes. Here's some of the best rumors that I've seen so far, but careful for potential spoilers for Justice League plotlines and future movies. So the best rumor I've seen says that during the movie, Lex Luthor will buy the Daily Planet as a PR move, and Batman will end up setting up the Justice League as a Marvel Shield-like answer to Superman's destruction of Metropolis in the first film. Consider it like an alternate reality origin of the League. But the rumor goes on to state that by the end of the movie, Superman will be forced into exile by Batman and the newly formed League, and the movie will end before that's resolved, leaving any sequel or Justice League movie, whichever comes next, to bring Superman onto the team formally. It's just a rumor, but it's the best one I've seen so far. Remember, Superman and Batman are going to go head-to-head in this movie, so they will not be best buds. Here's an interesting question though, regardless of what the plot ends up being. Do you think the next movie after this will be a standalone Batman film for Ben Affleck, or will it be that Justice League movie? In reality, it just depends on how much money the movie makes. Okay, so heads up. Like I said, this Sunday, whole bunch of new movie trailers coming, including X-Men and Captain America. I'm going to be doing videos for all those. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. I'll try and post those on the same night. Right now, you can click here for a rundown of what all those trailers are going to be, and you can click here to get this week's episode of Arrow. They just introduced the Red Arrow, and Oliver spent a whole bunch of time training him. It was crazy. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys tonight. High fives.